All right, welcome back to the weekend prime time. Now that Trump's mega bill is now mega law, Democrats are pivoting from fighting the bill's passage to using it against Republicans in the midterms. The bill is wildly unpopular. I probably don't need to tell you that. A Fox News poll found only 38% of registered voters support it, while 59% oppose it. DNC Chair Ken Martin tells the AP, quote, "Republicans own this mess, and it's an albatross around their necks heading into the midterms. This is the least popular legislation in modern history, and the more voters learn about it, the more they hate it." Joining us now, Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Thank you so much, Congresswoman, for joining us tonight. So spell it out for us what the strategy is going to look like heading into the midterms, especially given the fact that there are elements of this legislation that voters might not really see and feel for quite a while because they coincidentally, conveniently don't go into effect until after the midterms happen. So what's the game plan around that reality?
Well, ladies, first of all, it is wonderful to be here with this girl power team on a Saturday night. And I just loved watching you. You guys have an incredible chemistry, and I'm so glad to join you. Look, the key thing here for Democrats and what Republicans need to brace themselves for is that we're going to be traveling the country, and in each and every one of our 213 congressional districts, we are going to be sharing the stories of real people who this bill will absolutely crush. So, in each of our communities, we're going to put human faces on the devastating cuts to health care, where 17 million people, big number, that are going to lose their health care and have an inability to be able to go to the doctor when they get sick. That we have the largest cut to nutrition assistance in American history. And that is taking food out of the mouths of children, veterans, the disabled, the elderly. And, big numbers maybe don't resonate so much, but the human stories, when we put a face on the reality of these cuts, that is going to show people the real pain that Republicans have caused. Look, the bottom line here is that Trump lied and people are going to die. They will die as a result of not having health care. I can tell you as a breast cancer survivor, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer at 41 years old and found the lump myself, God forbid, and I remember thinking this because I was diagnosed right as we were debating the Affordable Care Act. God forbid I didn't have health insurance and couldn't go right to the doctor to see what was wrong. And there are millions of people who won't be able to go to a doctor, and they will get so sick that they will face the emergency room as their primary access point for care, or they will just die as a result of totally preventable illness because Republicans, Trump and the MAGA extremists yanked it away from them. And kids, disabled, veterans, and seniors will go hungry. Guaranteed. So we're going to share those stories, and we're going to make them pay.
Congresswoman, even Donald Trump seems to tacitly sort of accidentally acknowledge that the things in this bill are very unpopular. It has been reported that he told a gathering of some Republican House lawmakers that if they want to win their election, they shouldn't cut Medicaid, Social Security, or Medicare. And two of those three will probably be touched by this. What do you think Republicans' game plan will be to try to hold onto their seats, given that, as we have been discussing, the more people actually learn what is in this bill, whether or not Trump himself ever learns what's in this bill, they seem to dislike it?
Look, this bill will actually affect all three, Medicare included, because the Republicans blew a $4 trillion hole in the deficit in this bill. And as a result of federal budgeting law, there will be a $500 billion cut to Medicare in this big, ugly bill. It is now law. And like I said, Trump lied, and people are going to die, because if he was so concerned about making sure that there were no cuts to Medicaid and no cuts to people's health care, because it also cuts premium subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, and the premiums are going to go up, making some of those policies unaffordable, then he should have vetoed the bill. Or he should have, since they're a cult and they do whatever he says, they should have taken the Medicaid cuts out of the bill. Instead, they just lied and said, oh, it's only people who aren't eligible, and we're only going to be affecting waste, fraud, and abuse, or, undocumented immigrants. Undocumented immigrants are already prohibited by federal law from getting Medicaid. And, the few that actually do, we could take care of that pretty easily. But you don't have to cut 17 million people off of health care in order to accomplish that goal. So they're kind of full of it.
I want to play some sound of White House advisor Stephen Miller and how he looks at mass deportation and the role of states.
We want every governor of a red state, and if you're watching tonight, pick up the phone, call DHS, work with us to build facilities in your state so that we can get the illegals out, we can get the criminals out. And also, very importantly, Laura, we need Congress to pass the big, beautiful bill which contains the funding that ICE desperately needs to carry out the mass deportation agenda.
Congresswoman, now the bill has passed. They have the funding for their agenda, and Governor Ron DeSantis in your state is being quite supportive and has, put together the so-called alligator Alcatraz. What are you hearing from constituents about this tactic and the conditions at that detention facility, if you have heard from any constituents?
Again, more Trump lies, more people being thrown into a dire situation where many of them will ultimately die when they're deported back to countries like Venezuela and Haiti, which clearly don't have conditions in which it is safe or a place that has the environment to take people back. In Haiti, that is a country that is overrun by gangs and essentially is a failed state. And in Venezuela, you have the Maduro regime, which is a narco state. I mean, Maduro is under federal indictment here in the United States. How could it possibly be safe to send 500,000 Venezuelans when he revoked their humanitarian parole and TPS from Venezuelans and from 500,000 Haitians? This is a situation in which they want to bleach America. You heard what Miller said. He is a vile human being, and what they're doing in the Everglades on incredibly sensitive land, environmentally sensitive land, that was so sensitive that in the 1970s they abandoned the plan to put a huge airport on that property. They are violating sacred tribal lands, no consultation with the Miccosukees. We're in the middle of hurricane season. Look at that infrastructure that you're showing right now. That will blow away like matchsticks if a hurricane comes, and they're either going to waste money on trying to rush through an evacuation, or people are going to die. I mean, you see the running theme and thread through what I'm sharing with you? That they are creating policy that is going to cause people's deaths. And Democrats are going to crisscross the country. We're going to spend every single day until Election Day making sure people understand that, I ran for Congress for obviously a different reason than any Republican colleague of mine. I ran to and Democrats run to make people's lives better. And clearly, Republicans have decided that it's time to make people feel the pain.
What are Democrats going to do?
Contrast.
What can you do to ensure that there's oversight over alligator Alcatraz? We've already seen this administration move to make it more difficult for members of Congress to come to exercise their oversight powers there, to do last-minute visits. Is there going to be a strategy around this facility in particular, just because of the attention that it's received, the sort of unusual nature of it? I mean, the Florida GOP already selling merch around this place, sort of making jokes about what could be a dehumanizing experience and sight for people who are eventually sent there. So what will the work of investigating and making sure that there is transparency at this site actually look like?
Just to be clear, DeSantis is spending $450 million a year on this site. That is about $150,000 per ICE detainee, twice as much as the national average. So they are wasting, hundreds of millions of dollars. And I can tell you that they damn well better let us into that facility, because I passed a federal law that said that they have to give members of Congress spontaneous access, unannounced we get unannounced ability to inspect and conduct oversight at these facilities, and they can expect that they will get a visit, and they better be prepared to let us in and see what's going on there, because that is our legislative responsibility as a co-equal branch of government. We appropriate those funds, and if they plan to get some of that money back from FEMA, which is really doubtful, then it is going to be absolutely essential that we make sure that the standards and the conditions there, which right now look to me like they are inhumane, are up to par, so that we can be taking care of these human beings that are in that facility. By the way, the overwhelming majority of people who have been detained across the country are not violent criminals. They're not people who have committed serious crimes like Donald Trump promised he'd prioritize. They're arresting people who are taking care of people's lawns and going to restaurants and construction sites and arresting people who are simply here to make a better way of life for themselves and their families. And they fled countries that are dangerous, that they cannot go back to. Let's just be clear that they continue to lie, and people will die.
Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, thank you so much. I just want to add, even if people do have a criminal record, they are still entitled to humane conditions.
Due process.
Yes, due process at the very least. But thank you again for your time.
Absolutely.